How does that look?
No, I'm not saying that. You get some sense that there's a handful of stocks.
Look at that. I mean, you could tie that to the market. Bang.
The man in black, there he is. How you doing, man?
I'm doing so well. How are you? You're looking strong. What do you got going to Bob Weir? I like Bob Weir.
Bob Weir. Bob Weir. And I tell you what, it was a big weekend for me last week, and I saw a lot of music, including a Dead cover band with Steve Leisman at the Cutting Room, Dave Matthews Band. But throwback times, man. This is a throwback band. You got a throwback T-shirt on. All good.
Listen, I know a lot of people love Dave Matthews. I mean, that to me is like, if I lose a bet, I'm going to see Dave Matthews. But how old do you think Bob Weir is? He's got to be like, what, 80, Bob Weir?
Bob Weir is, I think he's comfortably into his 70s and could look even older than that. And look, there are people out there that stay well preserved, man. I mean, I don't know where you're tipping the age scales here, but I mean, you're keeping it together. You're looking ripped today in that like muscle tee. Is that T-shirt tight? I mean, did you pick that out to show a little, little bit of the ripped physique today?
Well, you got to give our Reach TV audience what they're asking for. I'm going to be 58. This is an extra large, but I mentioned age because here's one for you. In this week, in 1956, an actress born, and I'm looking it up, Mary Kathleen Collins was born. Do you know who Mary Kathleen Collins is known as now?
Joan Collins?
No.
Let's see. Phil Collins now. Let's see. I'm guessing this is somebody that decided to come up with a very different name and a name that actually is synonymous with something.
You would be correct. You would be extraordinarily correct. I won't do this to you because it's not fair. This week, 1956, will be 65. Bo Derek.
Bo Derek, The Perfect 10. One of the great movies from, I'm guessing this is 78, 79. I don't know.
It's a great poll by you. 1979. It's a wonderful job by you. I actually remember when it came out. I think I was going to be 16, 15, 16. But
you know what?
When you say one of the great movies, that is a miserable movie.
You know what? Dudley Moore, I mean, he played the predictable kind of, guy playing well over the rim, punching beyond his weight, all of those things that were impossible to believe. But the key here is everybody's idea of a perfect 10 is different, right? So if we get into markets here, first of all, is there such thing as a perfect 10 when you think of a company out there, or are there 10 companies that you think are really tops out there? What do you got?
It's interesting you say that. So I think a lot of people would put Apple at the top of that list. I'm not one of those people, but my perfect 10 company, for a myriad of reasons, and we've talked about this, I think the most important company in the planet is Microsoft. And quite frankly, if you look at what they've done, they are, in fact, if there is a perfect 10, Tim, it would be MSFT.
You're throwing like a Farrah Fawcett in the mix, or a Linda Evans, or maybe a Barbie Benton because I mean, yeah, I get it. It's funny that you say that because Microsoft probably was a company even back then too. I mean, this is an old war horse. It's reinvented itself. Satya Nadella gets a lot of credit for positioning this company at the center of the cloud and enterprise software, and it's a company that I don't think we could live without right now. So I'm with you on that. And you threw Apple out there, and on some level, they're the one that might be the obvious. How about Google? I mean, if you think about Google and how important they are to how the internet functions, the fact that Google Cloud is going to be rivaling the Amazon Cloud, the fact that YouTube, well ahead of its time, in fact, you could be streaming that scene in 10 where Dudley Moore takes her back to his place and he's got a few contraptions, and I'll just leave it there, but it's a little bit off color. I think Google, both as a stock in terms of its importance, and again, the definition of a perfect 10 for investors is not only a stock that is a company integral, but a company that is an interesting investment right now. And I think Google really is.
I think you nailed it. I think I'll go with Microsoft, my 10. Your Google is a 10 as well. I will tell you that in terms of an actress and in terms of a career, forget about Bo Derek. Julie Andrews, who appeared in the movie 10, to me, might be the actress version of 10. As a matter of fact, she might have saved that movie along with Brian Dennehy if you really want to get into it. Thoughts on that?
Well, the hills are alive with the sound of music, and I wouldn't have thought that. But actresses of all times, that's a tough one. I think you have to go with a Meryl Streep maybe,
Wow.
and yeah, and a Meryl Streep kind of like a J.P. Morgan. I mean, a company that's fundamentally sound. You know what you're going to get. Steeped in tradition. All the classics. Is certainly a trusting figure. Someone that I think has carved out that kind of a role in the market. I mean, J.P. Morgan is best in class. Meryl Streep is best in class.
I
Sorry.
love what you did there. And listen, if you're asking me, which you haven't, but I'll answer it anyway. My favorite Meryl Streep movie, that would be The Deer Hunter with Robert De Niro and John Cazale, who, by the way, died way too young. In a relationship with Meryl Streep, she'll say to this day, the true love of her life. Thoughts?
Uh, I liked Meryl Streep in that movie with my girl Annie Hathaway, where she's the editor of Vogue.
Uh-huh.
What's the name of that? What's the name of that
I
movie?
think
I don't
The
know.
Devil Wears Prada, I believe, is the name of that movie.
Listen to you. Nice job. Nice work there. Although I think early Streep with your boy Dustin Hoffman and a little Kramer versus Kramer was landmark stuff. Where do you throw Apple? I mean, they first of all, Apple certainly on some level fits all of the trimmings of a perfect 10. They could almost be, they're almost your Robert Redford. They're dashing, they're there through thick and thin. Not very innovative, I guess. Maybe I've got to
Listen,
go. Yeah, I
no,
don't know.
I'm a huge Redford guy. I mean, I'd watch him read the phone book. I don't think I'm nearly as much of an Apple fan as you are. Apple to me is more Al Pacino. You never know what you're going to get. Some movies are just classics, and other movies are just ridiculously poor. That to me is
It's
Apple, Tim.
It's interesting you say that because I kind of feel like Apple is somewhat typecast, as is Pacino. I mean, Apple. I mean, to me, it's classic, right? Again, Apple's been around. It's been a leading man. It's somebody that you count on. It's somebody that I think has the respect of the film audience. But Pacino is the same guy in every movie. I don't think Apple's just a hardware company. I think the services business is alive. It's real. I think we're going to be dependent on Apple for healthcare. We're dependent upon Apple, possibly even for content, but certainly I think as it relates to just, a lot of the services business, I think Pacino, say hello to my little friend.
It's interesting you mentioned Scarface. Maybe we'll do great Robert Loggia movies, or the fact that F. Murray Abraham was one of the most least liked people in the series Homeland, but I totally digress. That's Tim Seymour. I'm Guy Adami. Catch us each night, Reach TV, commercial break.